Another year, another iterative official MotoGP game, right? Well, sort of. With MotoGP 22 just around the corner, we were able to go hands-on with an early build, and please allow us to say there are features that are breakthroughs for the series. But also, before we jump in, to stress this was captured on a PC and an unfinished preview build with limited features and clearly work in progress AI performance, so things are subject to change. Ultimately, this is a licensed Grand Prix motorcycle racing simulation featuring the real-world venues, teams and riders from the 2022 MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 seasons. It'll be available in April for PC, PlayStation and Xbox platforms, plus the Nintendo Switch. There will be online multiplayer, an in-depth single-player career and single race modes. That's not mold-breaking nor genre-defining. Alongside the new rider roster, there are also new face scans of the riders for the pre-grid and podium, more accurate tyre physics and quote-unquote enhanced track surfaces. Welcome additions that join MotoGP 21's implementation of the long lap penalty and bike recovery systems. Checkboxes ticked, design a new cover art and hit publish. Except there's a lot more to it than that. No matter if it's a small indie release or a big budget glossy affair, for a driving or riding game, the most important aspect is how it performs on track. Handling, braking, setups, rival behaviour, and ultimately, the sensation of being in control. It's here that you'll notice the biggest difference between last season's game and developer Milestone's latest V4 powered beast. One of the more, how shall we say, divisive aspects of the past two MotoGP simulators has been how you slowed down for a corner. Mid-corner and down the straight, the handling was compliant, but stopping a top-class motorcycle was akin to riding a mechanical bull, blindfolded, and after a few tequilas. All the bike wanted to do was lift its rear wheel and throw you off into the nearest cat litter repository. Not that it wasn't possible, but the myriad of techniques required to slow down your Yamaha was more complex than today's Wordle. In MotoGP 22, this remains a dark art, but mercifully the ride is significantly more stable. Using the various assists set to default due to the limited time we had available for our test, the learning curve is still steep. We ran wide, fell, and fell some more. If this were the real world, the Dainetza invoice would have been gargantuan. For a moment, I thought I didn't have the right controller inputs assigned. I did, but now you must apply the brakes earlier than you are perhaps used to, and using the rear brake in the initial stages, a separate button, is a big help. Along a small straight, think of it as 50% acceleration and 50% braking. With braking zones longer than a politician's list of excuses, once you've adjusted, this may take some time, I found it to be more satisfying than the MotoGP 20 and 21 system. Instead of crashing by simply slowing down in a straight line, you can now crash by carrying too much speed into the apex. Still frustrating, but at least now authentically so. The second change to the game's physics is the introduction of the ride height device. For those unaccustomed, this is a relatively recent invention in its current form and an evolution of the whole shot devices used at race starts to reduce wheelies. At the tap of a button, it lowers the rear ride height. For standing starts, this provides more traction for the rear-wheel drive machines, and once moving at a high speed in a straight, the lowered centre of gravity and reduced chance of a wheelie helps achieve higher top speeds. You can have this set to be manually activated in MotoGP 22, simply tapping the requisite button at the appropriate time sees your bike hunker down and your speed increase. Apply this through a quick corner, however, and the handling goes awry with heavy understeer introduced, as it should be. There are times when you almost forget you can activate it, only to hit the button, see the bike squat and the speed increase, analogous to a nitro boost, just not as powerful. Applying this to the higher AI difficulty levels or online racing, we can picture this adding an additional dimension to the racing, if thinking about tyre and brake temperatures wasn't enough already. The third main pillar to MotoGP 22's innovation is the 9-season 2009 mode. Awful title aside, you can think of this as a story to play through. Wait, hold up, before you roll your eyes, this has the ingredients to be good. Honest. Unlike F1 2021's Breaking Point or Grid Legends Driven to Glory, you don't play through a fictionalized narrative. No, instead this is a brand new documentary about the 2009 real-world top-class MotoGP season. Rossi, Pedrosa, Stoner, let battle commence. Directed by Mark Neal, who created the MotoGP documentary films Faster and Hitting the Apex, this is a movie. A real, slickly produced, interesting movie. It's just that at set times, the story passes the action over to you in time order scenarios. To make this possible, the entire 2009 grid is included. The 3 initial challenges we played were at the first round of the 2009 season. After watching the context, I was thrust into the race as Casey Stoney on his Ducati. Leading, my task was to reach a 5-second gap over Rossi. Once that was complete, the story continued seamlessly before I was then placed further back in the same race as former champion turned Twitter pundit Lorenzo trying to reach the podium. I feel that your enjoyment will very much depend on finding the right difficulty level and assists to suit you. Winning when the target is only third can break the immersion, for example. It would also have been nice if the tracks were 2009, not 2022 configurations too. 9 captivated me, and while I only tried the very initial stages, the final game will feature scenes from every 2009 race, creating a hefty additional mode as opposed to a small bolt-on one. If it reaches its potential, this is far more interesting to me than any of the other recent 4-wheel-based story mode attempts. With this addition to MotoGP 22 plus the recent MotoGP Unlimited behind-the-scenes documentary series on Amazon Prime, motorcycle racing fans have never had it so good. This new game mode plus the on-track physics changes combine to create a palpable sense of anticipation for the next MotoGP game. If that wasn't enough, local split-screen multiplayer returns for the first time since MotoGP 17 alongside the new for 2022 Indonesian Mandalika circuit. The split screen works admirably, at least in this pre-release not complete build, provided you can stay upright. The simulation focus of the MotoGP games means that this is not going to be your next Mario Kart replacement. The representation of Mandalika looks to be accurate, which means a flat, bland circuit with too many sections looking like each other. Still, a fresh venue always breathes new life into a championship, and thus a related yearly game release. We haven't been able to try the online gameplay, the all-important career mode, or the final AI performance. However, each of those elements are critical to a game's success, but for now, once you've adjusted, there's every chance MotoGP 22 could be the best in the series yet. So that's our quick look at the upcoming MotoGP 22. Are you excited? Are you very keen to pick this up? And what do you think of how 9 looks? Let us know in the comments section down below. Whenever you're racing discipline, please subscribe to the Traxion channel, and if you haven't already, head over to TraxionGG for more content. But that's it from me, thank you very much for watching, keep it pinned, and I'll see you next time.